if you are a state governor, or you're a state government, you can only properly fund one institution. I think it's good to focus on that institution, make it cheap. I'm talking about a higher institution. Focus on that institution, make it cheap, and then the one or the other one or two can become premium. You can charge a fee. You can charge high fees so that maybe brilliant, maybe richer people can go there. But it's important to have at least one cheap higher institution that is available for regular people. I think that's better than managing three higher institutions, or let me just use the term colleges, and managing them poorly and providing bad education, low quality education um, to all the students. I think it's important to have one good one that is cheap, and then you can have maybe some premium. The other ones can be premium, and they don't have to be cheap. That's my view. Um, but I also think that governments have problems with prioritization. If you are busy fixing roads and you don't have a quality UBE, which is universal basic education from primary to second to GS3, then for me it means you don't even understand how to end poverty in your state. So you have a lot of states that have spent billions on roads and education. They're not doing anything in terms of providing quality free education. And for me, I try to wonder, especially in the Southwest, and I think that you need to learn from what Awolowo did. The education is a leveler. Providing good education to people is the best investment for poor people because you give them the opportunity to do well, just like middle class or the rich people. You provide level playing ground, just like internet today. Most people can use the internet. And many years ago, only rich people could use the internet, but now regular people can use the internet. And that's what I believe education should be. Education should be a right for every kid in Nigeria, especially UBE, Universal Basic Education. And that makes it easier even to reduce security challenges in future. When people are well educated, they can practice business better. They can run small businesses better because they've been taught mathematics. You have a lot of smart people sometimes go into. Hold on. Are you there? Okay.
Yes, yes, I am here.
So I was talking about education. So I started by talking about high institutions, and I believe that state should have one good high institution that is cheap and available to everybody. But I think that they can also have one or two other ones that are not cheap, that will provide premium education that richer people can go to. I think that's better than having three bad colleges, three poorly run colleges. I think that's much worse than having one good one plus one or two other premium ones. So and then I went to UBE, Universal Basic Education. I'm saying governors have to understand that when you provide free quality education to kids, the state will enjoy it much later because even as a barber or as a mechanic, you will do better if you have some education because education helps you to think better. Education helps you to be able to do your maths better. You can understand your profit. You can go on the internet to read. Education helps you to even do better in your business. So whether people want to go into vocational education, skill, carpentry, education helps them to excel, and that's going to have far better. That's going to impact the economy much better than spending billions on roads, especially intra-city roads that have very little value on economic development in many states. So for me, UBE is not so expensive. The higher institutions are more expensive, far more expensive to run, because you pay highly. You have to spend a lot on research. You have to pay to professors. But any state government that is very wise, I think can run universal basic education well, because UBE also, the UBE law in Nigeria guarantees you some income from the federal government. So it's not just the state. The state gets some money from the federal government, you know, and if you can use that income from the federal government and your own income, I think UBE can be run well. To talk about healthcare, I've written about it. There's an article I wrote recently about how you can provide free healthcare to all Nigerians. And some people ask me, "Oh, healthcare is not free even in other parts of the world." And I'm saying, when you use the term free, it doesn't mean people are not paying for it. And I explained it in my article. It's about insurance. NHIS, needs to be fixed. You have to, and I don't have time to talk a lot, because I know we've lost a lot of time because of this back and forth. And I refer people to my article. I think it was the article was. I hope one of you guys can put it on the chat so that people can read the article. Uh, the article is clearly saying we have to fix our insurance system such that even poor people eventually will get free care. If you get more people into the pool, how does insurance work? If you get more people into the pool, more payers into the pool, then you have more available cash to take care of the poor. So we have to enforce the insurance system in the health insurance system in Nigeria, so that we can cater for working class people. They can get free care, and we can also have excess cash to cater for the poor. I refer people to my article on NHIS. I think it was published on Vanguard. It was published on two other newspapers online.
Now, yesterday, the federal government proposed a revised 2020 budget, which included budget reduction for UBE and healthcare by 50% and 40%, respectively, while the National Assembly had a reduction of just 25% on its renovation budget. So, what is your view on this?
Well, it just shows how we prioritize. Health and education as the most important. There's no reason for us to cut health and education. For me, I wouldn't touch them. There are other things to touch. I don't think the papers reported. We don't know what other things government touched, vehicles and stuff like that. Cheap, you can buy cheaper vehicles. You can stop. Some government officials buy new vehicles every year, and I'm saying you can stop all that. There's so many things you can do. There's so many things you can do to cut costs, not without touching education and healthcare. I would not touch healthcare, but it just clearly shows that our governments don't really. I don't know if it's that they don't get it,
Hmm.
or because I don't know why that we will be arguing about how important education and healthcare is. And I'm not one of those saying 20% UNESCO recommended percentage. No, I don't care about recommended percentage of the budget, but I'm talking about, let's make sure that we're able to fix it. And it's not only about money, it's also about strategies, it's also about policies. Like talked about NHIS. You don't even need to spend more money to fix NHIS. If you
Policy.
fix the policy, you can create free care in this country if you fix the policy without even extra cash. Because when they give extra cash, what happens? People steal more money. Education also, I think money is important, but you can also fix the policy. You know, making sure that making sure that you can teach prioritization, especially to state governments, and making sure that they can compare. Somebody has to provide guidance to them in terms of prioritization.
Okay, now we'll be taking questions from our audience. But while we are waiting for their questions, what do you think about the new JAM policies, that's the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board policies, that allows many universities to admit students with scores as low as 140?
So for me, I love the current head of JAM, and I've seen people write bad things about him, and I think he's an example of the kind of technocrats that we need in Nigeria. Um, First guy to refund money to government, which I think is huge. Um, and I think that what the man said was that before now, a lot of universities were actually admitting students even without JAM. A lot of things were done, you know, the way people wanted to do it. And what he wanted to do was to standardize. And I think I agree with him. In America, there are top schools, there are regular schools. All over the world, there are always different grades of schools. So people have to make their choice. If you want to go to a school that allows 120, that's your choice. If you want to go to a school that says 200 is minimum, that's your choice. So people have to, but let it be clear. I like the fact the man has published it. Let everybody know this school accepts 120. This school accepts 160. This school, let it be clear so that we all know the grades. We know the different grades of schools, and we are not fooling ourselves. And people can choose what school they want to attend. And employers also know the grades of schools. So students have
So,
to choose. Employers also know. So that I think that's fantastic. Let's not deceive ourselves to say this is a man that said before now people were doing it. It was not open. So what he's trying to do is to standardize it and make it published. And I think that's appropriate. If he's saying that you want to study, he's being realistic, and that's to me that's exactly what I believe in. Let's be realistic and let's not fool ourselves.
so you do not recommend a uniform code of mark across universities for students?
No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. It's not necessary because um, it's not like that all over the world. There are different grades of schools, and in Nigeria, there's always been different. We've always had some schools that are different. There have always been different grades of schools, and some schools have been admitting, from based on low scores. What the man has just done is to standardize it, make it public, so nobody admits without jam. Make sure you admit with jam. Let's standardize and let it public. I see a
Okay, we have
question.
a
Okay, go ahead.
yeah. May I ask Mr. Onifadi about his thoughts about the political structure we have in Nigeria? Is it working for the country, or does it require wholesale change?
So I think this question is probably, maybe restructuring. It's related to restructuring. So my own view about restructuring, I dedicated a whole chapter to restructuring. And what I believe is that restructuring is important. I clearly believe it's important. But again, I don't like to fool myself. For the correct restructuring to take place in Nigeria, we need a sovereign national conference. I don't think a sovereign national conference is going to happen anytime soon. And if you want to do another type that is not sovereign, it's a waste of time and money. So, my view, Nigeria's structure has to change. But these current politicians will not change it. They keep talking about it. They will not do anything about it. For the next 20, 40, 50 years, they're not going to do anything. So why do we keep making noise about something they're not going to do? So for me, let's get some good people to power, more good people to power, and let's put pressure on those good people. And those good people can then put more pressure on their colleagues for restructuring. And then now listen, restructuring, one of the things we say is we think we have too many senators and too many House of Rep members. Now, that is true. But these guys in Abuja, are they going to be the ones to pass that bill to reduce the number of senators? No, they won't. Because nobody wants to stop coming to Abuja. So the people that are in power today, if you push restructuring to them, you're trying to cut their power. And they're not going to accept. And I don't blame them. So what I think is let's do our best to get some good people to power first. And because it's easier to pressure good people. When we get those good people to power, more good people. There are some good people in power, but very, very few. Get more good people into power, and then that restructuring discussion can become can become a stronger debate at that time.
Okay, while we are rounding up, what else would you like to share with our
So
students?
let me ask this question. Let me answer this question before. So I also think it's difficult to define what is good. What should voters look for when we want good people? What makes them good? Again, I agree. This is also a very smart question. Yes, it's difficult to define what is good, and that is one of the reasons why that's part of what I want. That's a part of the role I want to play. That's why I set up Liberating Nigeria. Many people have to come together to provide guidance, but first we have to let the people trust us. For me, I've written a book to provide information. I cannot be bought. I don't have plans to run for office, so I have no reason to seek a godfather or anything. I want to be one of those trusted people that can provide guidance. And I think we need more people like that. They're not necessarily seeking position. They just want to be able to provide guidance. And and I can and that doesn't mean I know it all, like I said, but I can provide advice and say this is what I think is good. It's so difficult to define what is good, really. But some people have to play that role. Good might just be this man is ready to work with good people. Period. Good might just be this man is humble. He's ready to listen to good people. He might be a bad man, but he might be willing. Don't let me use the word bad. He might not be intelligent, but he might be willing to work with intelligent people. That might be enough to make that person worthy of votes. So
Okay, the willingness to collaborate with good people makes him a good person.
yeah, that's what we don't need to have perfect presidents or governors. They don't have to be perfect, but they just have to be willing, humble to learn and become better and better. They have to be ready to work with other people. So I think
Okay, so
overall. Go ahead.
okay, yeah, I was about to ask you to round up the
Yeah, I think
discussion.
for me, thanks for and I strongly apologize for all the hiccups. This is our first time of having this, and I hope that many people can join forces with me to provide enlightenment to young people, to provide information. We need to enlighten our electorates. We need to we need to make these young people smarter. We need to empower them with information so that we can start influencing elections from 2023. And I tell people, if you want to reach out to me on my Facebook, as all my social medias, you know, they have my name, Debonifade Facebook. Reach out to me, ask me questions, make comments. I don't know it all. I want to learn from people also, and I continue to write articles on liberatingnigeria.com. I also continue to write articles on other newspapers. I just want to provide information, and that's all. And if you are the kind that let me share. If you hold on, and if you are the kind that don't mind reading, this is my book. It's on Amazon. It's also on Nigerian, a lot of Nigerian bookshops. I hope people can read and learn. And thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much for attending today's event and thank you for your time, Mr. Debo Onifade.
Yeah.
Okay, so like he earlier mentioned, I'm sure you follow him on social media, Facebook and Twitter, Debo Onifade. And yes, you can drop your questions with him. He will definitely answer them all. I will be having another edition of this webinar in the month of July, and you'll be getting all of the information you need, all the details you need regarding it on his social media platform. So yeah, you have to follow him. And don't forget to register on Liberating Nigeria's online platform. That's www.liberatingnigeria.com. Let's air your views, air your thoughts, air your opinions on how to revive our country, Nigeria. And if you are a SCORE member or you're a fresh graduate or you are a student searching for a job or any engagement, well, you can also follow our online job platform. That's delon.ng dot jobs.delon.ng, pardon me, jobs.delon.ng to look for positions, internship and job or other job engagements. Thank you once again for joining us today. Bye for now.